Two.
One.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our third episode of My Career in Tech. Today, we'll be talking about finding your feet in tech. And so we're looking to cover issues such as imposter syndrome, overcoming anxiety as you get settled into the field of tech. Today, we're joined by Blessing Emma, who is an ecosystem builder, Aderinsola Oluwafemi, who is a product designer at Eden Life, and Adebola Adeniro, who is the Chief of Staff at Money Africa. Our moderator for today's session is going to be Blessing Emma. And with no further ado, I'd like to hand over the mic to Blessing to start with the questions.
Okay, hi everyone. Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Blessing Emma, and I'm excited to be here with you. So how this session will go will just be like a question and answer session whereby I will be asking your favorite techies question about their journey, what they have done so far, how they dealt with imposter syndrome, the struggles, the good times, the bad times, all those things that you want to ask them. So I'll be asking them those questions so we can learn from their journey. And from there, if you have any questions, you can definitely drop it in the chat session and then we will get it answered. And any other thing you want, we're just here for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. So hi, Debo. Hi, Daren. How are you all doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Hi. Hi, Blessing. I'm good. Thank you.
Hi. So it's really nice to meet you all. I am excited. Debo, I think we've had a call before. Daren, I see you on Instagram and you are amazing, Pig Mama. So it's a pleasure to, yes, it's a pleasure to have you. So I'm going to be starting with Daren. So Daren, well, I'm going to ask you this question. How can you tell us about yourself?
Okay. Hi, everybody who's listening in. My name is Aderinsola Oluwafemi, but you can call me Daren. I'm a product designer. I currently work at Eden Life. I've been at Eden for, I guess, about 3 years, actually. It's going to be 3 years this week. But yeah, I've been at Eden for 3 years. I also, in a sense, I'm getting into lifestyle content creation. So like I can call myself a content creator as well. But yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's really nice. Nice meeting you, Daren. Debo, what about you? Let's get to know you.
Hey guys. So my name is Adebola. And yeah, I guess before now, so I worked as a software engineer for a couple of years. And while working as a software engineer, I got interested in publishing technical content because I've always enjoyed writing. So I've kept a blog for the longest time. So I got interested in technical content and I started writing technical content as well and publishing them. Yeah, and got like more opportunities as a software engineer. And then, we were starting Money. And when we were starting Money, I decided to, kind of leave that life behind and join Money. But of course, because of my role, I was still writing code every now and then, also very involved in the business side as well, and also on the growth side and the operation side of the business. So that was fun. Now I'm based out of the UK. Right now, I still work with Money, but I also double as a developer advocate for a blockchain company. So yeah, that's kind of like my journey.
Wow, you're a man of many, many talents. Okay. So Debo, my question to you is that you're doing so many things or you have done so many things. How are you able to find out what you want to do in tech? Like you're not just one thing. You have transitioned from looking at your LinkedIn, being a QA, being a data analyst, you even did growth. Now, chief of staff at Money, developer, advocate, technical writer, like many things. So how do you figure out like what you want to do at each step?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting that you say I'm doing many things because in my mind, it doesn't feel like a lot. It feels like maybe just like one thing. But I think I'll kind of like step back and talk about my journey a little bit. So in school or in uni, funny thing, I actually started by studying pharmacy. So I got in because I thought I was going to be a doctor like everybody else. So I got into study pharmacy and I was like, hey, I'm going to switch courses to medicine at some point, right? But every day when I went to classes, I was like, this is so boring. I don't know what I'm doing here. I was trying to keep my grades up and everything. And then I decided that actually what I was passionate about was technology and business. So I decided to switch to information systems. And then when I switched to information systems, I actually really enjoyed my courses, but I really struggled with my programming courses. Yeah, and then so I just felt like I'll probably never be a software engineer because like this is so hard. But then after uni, I worked as a data analyst for a company called Alara, which is a luxury fashion company. And if you guys know Knock, you'd also know Alara as well. I guess when people hear fashion, they never think that fashion companies would have data analysts. But yeah, like it was actually quite fun. I got to think about like why are people coming to come and buy certain kind of clothes, certain colors of clothes. Why are there more women coming in to buy clothes than men? You know, I got to like answer some of those very interesting questions. But then I also like started to think about my own career long term and what I wanted to do long term, and decided that I wanted to go back into engineering. So I went to a 9-month boot camp called Microverse, which was really good for me actually. So I got to really learn like fundamentals of engineering. And it was a very tough program, but I got through it. And then after getting through it, I got a role at a company in the US called Crossover as a QA analyst. So I went to do that for a couple of weeks actually, but I left it because I was like, yeah, I was putting in like 60, 70-hour weeks, and I was like, this was not the way I envisioned my life. So I decided to quit that and just like go back into pure engineering. Yeah, and then and everything just kind of took off from there. So that's kind of like a little bit of my own journey of how I got into tech, as you may. I guess in a sense I've kind of always been in tech, but not like I guess I in a way I transitioned, right? I wasn't doing like pure like engineering or pure product design or anything like that. Yeah.
I think it's part of the journey, trying different things till you find out what fits you. And also, I feel like at the end of the day, everything adds up. So thank you so much for sharing your journey, Debo. Daren, we want to hear about your own journey. How did you get into design? How did you become Fig Mama?
How I got into design, or at least product design, is a pretty long story, but I'll definitely try and summarize it.
All right. Thank you.
When I graduated from high school, right, or secondary school, I pretty much wasn't doing anything at all. I used to be a photographer, so around that time I was taking pictures for my family and making like little money out of it. But I wasn't really doing anything because I was, in a sense, waiting for a year till I could go to university, right? And then eventually I met a designer, like by chance at one of my churches, and we just got talking. I didn't know who he was, I didn't know what he did, but we like sort of just clicked and we became friends. And when I found out that he was a designer, I asked him if he could just like help me improve my designs, because I could design a bit, but then I wasn't that great. I didn't know a lot of the design fundamentals. And we became friends. He started teaching me, and I decided I wanted to improve in this skill, right? Because he made design sound so interesting. So I decided to do some research, find out what the different aspects of design were and what I could find myself doing. I mean, there's graphic design, brand design, motion design, UI, UX, whatnot. I decided to give brand design a try at first, but it didn't work out. And then like a couple of weeks later, I decided to like check out UI, UX design. I was a bit reluctant to do that because I used to see tech as this like really hard thing that you have to learn how to code and you have to be like the most intelligent person to be able to do it, right? And I mean, I hadn't done my research, but that's just like the impression that I had whenever I thought about tech. And I thought UI UX design was going to be a thing where I would also need to learn how to code and whatnot. But lucky for me, when I was in my whole pursuit of like learning how to become a better designer, I found out about this WhatsApp group chat. And funny enough, just after I joined, they were doing this class on UI UX design. I didn't plan to pay attention in the class. I actually wasn't even paying attention in the class, right? But I went back to read the messages afterwards, and it seemed like the person that taught it broke it down so easily, where I was like, this is not as complex as I thought it would be, right? And I decided to download the software. I decided to start practicing, and I put all my work on Twitter, and I got a lot of comments, things I could improve on, but like also like a lot of people encouraging me. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I also got this like really nice thrill from doing it because like I said, I had initially tried brand and I didn't feel any like vibe there. But then when I had done like my first couple of designs for UI UX, it was just like, yeah, I think this is what I'm meant to do, because like I really loved it. I mean, it wasn't anything deep that like it is for me now, where it's like, oh, you actually get to help people with design. It was just like, oh, this is something really fun to do and I like it. That's pretty much how I got into it. It wasn't a deliberate journey. It was just like pretty much by chance, actually, because if I hadn't joined the group chat that I did, and if they hadn't had that class afterwards, I most likely would not be a product designer today. So
Okay. So I guess yours was mostly like you had someone that was doing it that you asked them, you learned from their journey, and then it was more of curiosity.
yes,
And then
yeah,
a supportive community, people giving you feedback, loving what you're doing, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Daren, this question is like a follow-up question.
Okay.
So how will you describe the tech space right now? Since you do design and you've been here for a long time, how will you describe the tech space so far?
I would say that, I mean, let me go back. You know how when I was answering, I said that initially whenever I heard tech, what I would think is this thing where you have to know how to code, and there's like a very specific skill set and things you need to be able to know how to do. But the way I see it now, it's like the tech scene is extremely wide, right? There are different roles and opportunities available for different people. So like I found my own in product design. Some people are engineers, some people are UX writers, some people are product managers, some people are data analysts. Like there's something for, the way I see, almost everyone. What you're good at, you could probably find a way to like incorporate it in whatever field of tech you're interested in. And I find that extremely interesting, where it's like, oh, you literally do not need to know how to code to actually be in tech, right? And from my own personal experience, like you don't need a degree. I mean, it helps, but you don't need a degree to get into tech, because I mean, I know that I said I was waiting for a year before I could go to school, but I actually never went to school. I mean, now it's been like 6 years and I still haven't gone. But then I can say that I'm doing pretty well for myself. And I think like that's what I really admire about just being able to self-learn and improve and just get into what it is that you want to do in the tech field without needing to like limit yourself to engineering or developing anything. Yeah.
So Daren, you didn't go to university at all? Nothing like that?
No, I didn't.
But do you think it's something you pursue later? Maybe get a degree or something?
It's possible, but right now, no.
You're just living your life. Okay. I think it's so I think it's very good. Like it shows that basically, I know that we all strive to go to the university, which is good and all, but it shows that you are able to, without a university degree, you're able to build a strong career in tech and a thriving career at that, a designer. And I feel like that's very inspiring. So well done, David.
Thank you.
Okay, so Debo, my question to you will be like, you're doing so many things and you're like transitioning here and there, building, you are the chief of staff at Money. How do you, like, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you going? Like
Yeah, I
how?
mean, I think the biggest thing is really trying to solve important problems. For example, at Money, one of the biggest things that we're trying to solve is access to credit, which is still like a massive pain point in Nigeria. I mean, and even in the rest of Africa, right? Because, if you here in the UK, for example, once you've been here for say 6 months or a year, it's pretty easy for you to access credits if they can, trace what you're getting a salary, and you're paying your bills on time. It's pretty easy to access credit. But in a country like Nigeria, that the credit system is still developing, it's still very difficult, right? Even though we have a credit bureau and all of these things and BVN and all of these things, it's still very difficult for banks to give people credit, right? And so the size of that problem and the size of that market is what keeps me going. Like this is a big challenge, it's a big opportunity, and this is a problem that we can solve. So that's something that keeps me going on that side. Now, on my more technical side, something that keeps me going as well is I think I get excited about new technologies. I know that some OG devs don't really care. They're just like, oh, this is just another framework again, or this is just another language again. and this is just going to die out soon. But I actually get super excited about new technologies that come on the scene and what we can do with them. So for example, like AI and machine learning, how can we apply that to the problems that we have on the continent, right? How can we use AI and machine learning to try to generate data from sources that are not usual, right? So beyond your bank account, what do people around your community think about you, right? What do your Facebook friends think about you? What are those kind of pictures that you post on Instagram say about you? What do the number of likes and comments that you get on Instagram say about you? How can we make credit decisions from things like that? So I get super excited about the possibilities of technologies that are being developed and how we can apply that to solve problems on a grand scale on the continent. Yeah, so those are the kind of things that keep me going. Basically, the size of the challenge, the size of the problem. Yeah.
So what keeps you going is basically trying to solve problems for people.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's why we're alive every day. Like, how do we make the world a better place in our own small way or in our own little way by solving
So
problems?
Dave will say it's not somebody that's motivating you.
I think I passed that point a very long time ago.
See, levels. But I think that's very good. Having something deeper than money that's motivating you. That's really, really nice. So Debo, I know that you have done different things. I want to ask that how did you land your first job?
Mhm.
And what are the things that helped you stand out in like your different roles?
Yeah. So I would say, okay, so I guess in a sense, I have two first jobs and I'm going to explain why. So straight out of uni, actually my very first role was as a vendor support analyst at Jumia,
Okay.
which was basically just like calling vendors on the phone and helping them solve their problems. It was boring actually, because I mean, I was solving problems, but it wasn't something that I was excited about. And I did that for maybe like a month before I moved on to Alara to do data analysis. Um, and I think that's something that helped me stand out in that interview was, so I had a first class from uni, which was, people would look at it and be like, okay, this person is probably like very intelligent and stuff. But I think I was also like widely read as well. So I kind of understood the world on a grander scale. Like I would read all kinds of news articles. I got interested in all kinds of businesses. So I just like read very, very widely. So that's kind of like my first career in a sense, right? And then after attending the boot camp, actually, when I graduated from the boot camp, it was very hard to land my first role. Like I'd done a bunch of applications, and also because I didn't really want to work for companies in Nigeria at the time, because I just wanted to like expose my mind before being able to contribute back to Nigeria. So I was applying for like remote jobs a lot, and it was quite hard. It was a struggle to get them because you have many rejections and things like that. Um, but one of the major lessons that taught me is I kept on going, right? I never stopped applying. I never said, oh, because I've gotten like 50 rejections now, I'm going to stop. I kept applying. But while applying, at the same time, I was also improving my skills as well. So I was launching new products. I was writing articles. I was building on new technologies. I was doing tests. So I was basically improving myself even while applying for jobs. So I think that that's kind of the secret to life, right? People hire you based on your value that you can bring, that you can provide. So you have to continue to develop yourself and improve yourself and increase your skill set and what you can bring to the table. And yeah, so never ever see yourself as being disadvantaged in a sense. Like take advantage of the things that you have around you. And like never take no for an answer. Like continue to push, which are the lessons that I've learned over the years. If one way doesn't work, I will try another way, right? I'll keep trying until I figure out something that works. And that's something that has really helped me significantly in the course of my life.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, Debo. Like really, really nice. I feel like everyone is still trying to figure it out, but hearing about like how you figured things out helps us all. So Daren, my question to you has to do like imposter syndrome. So right now, from what we have heard in this space, like it's something that has been said a lot that design is saturated, whereby there are lots of designers. People when they want to go into tech, they'll be like, go to design, it's simple. But my own question is that how do you deal with imposter syndrome anxiety? Like maybe at the beginning of your journey and even now as a designer, Like people keep coming up and they're like maybe better designers, things like that. How do you deal with that feeling?
I I have a take that, and I may be wrong, but I have this opinion that you probably never grow out of imposter syndrome. It may not necessarily be true. It's true for some people and it may not be true for others, but I think it's this thing, at least in my own experience, where what you have to do is learn to keep pushing despite the imposter syndrome. So when I got started, like you said, like design, there are a lot of designers. And when I got started, like there were a lot of people to look up to. There were a lot of people who also started at around the same time that I did that seemed to be doing a lot more better, right? And it's very easy to get into this, oh, I'm not making progress, I'm not growing, I'm not learning, I'm not improving. What's the word? Like mental space, right? But something that someone told me a while ago, this was actually a couple of years ago, that I remember anytime I get into this like mood of, oh, I'm not good enough or I'm not doing well enough, is compare yourself now to where you were before, right? Because you improve every day without really realizing that you're improving and getting better. There are certain things that I know now that I didn't know a couple of years ago, because like growth is literally like a continuous journey, right? And when you see like that, imposter syndrome is very like daunting and it like tends to hold you back sometimes. But then when you think about it as a drive to learn more and to improve, then I think like you can make it work for you, right? And also it helps if you're not comparing yourself to other people, because I think like that's a mistake that a lot of people, especially like new designers, make. We tend to compare ourselves to people who have probably been in the field for way longer than we have, or people who we started the journey with. But I think that is wrong. I think that, I mean, as you say, comparison is a thief of joy. And that is actually what fuels our imposter syndrome a lot, because we're constantly like, oh, there's somebody better. There's somebody who knows this thing that I don't. Yeah, I think when you just see it as an opportunity to constantly learn and grow, then you sort of make it work out for you. So you have to like have a continuous drive for learning, a continuous like, what's their hunger? Yeah, a continuous hunger for learning, and also have community, right? There's sometimes that you can't bring yourself out of that funk, but then it helps to have people around you, because again, everybody's going through it. It helps to have people around you who can sort of encourage you and remind you of where you started. And it also helps to really keep track of your journey, right? So like I have this thing where I try to like write down the major things that have happened in my tech journey, right? Over time. So it's like when I go back to, I call it like my career chakra, right? So when I go back, I'm looking at, oh, this and this is what I achieved at this point in my life. I mean, I started tech 2 years ago. This is what I achieved then. Now this is what I'm working on. The things that I found challenging back then are not the things that I'm finding challenging now, right? Because again, there's always new stuff to learn. The point is that you can actually tell that you're growing and improving. That's how I see imposter syndrome. I think it's this thing where, again, you're mostly comparing yourself to other people and like comparing your journey to other people's journeys, but then everybody has their own unique journey. It's not a competition. We're literally just here trying to do what we love to do and what's best for us, right? Yeah, that's how I see it. Again, I don't think it's something you entirely grow out of. I just think it's like something that you understand why and how it came about, right? And like just work towards bettering yourself and improving yourself. A lot of the people that I call my mentors, right? When I go to them to ask for questions about something, they also remind me there are literally certain things that my mentors do not know. They have to also do research to know those things and to improve on those things. So like how much more me, who has been in the field for way less than they have been. I think like that's the perspective to look at it from. Just, okay, I feel like I'm less now. What do I need to do to improve like my skill sets? What can I do to make myself a much better designer? How can I approach this situation in a way that like I can grow from it? That's what I think.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Daren. You're right about the imposter syndrome. I feel like everyone experiences, even though to other people, you'd be like, why are you experiencing imposter syndrome? You have done this and done this. But then it's still a case of, oh, it's feeling that everyone has. So I think we never outgrow it, but we learn to deal with it. Daren, this question is also for you. So now you have talked about your journey, and I love how you talked about how you have people that are mentors. But personally, how do you track your growth, your own growth? what are the things that you do to like your journey from when you began to where you are right now? How did you track that growth, and how can people track their own growth?
I think for me, it's how do I put this? I think back at certain concepts that make up product design, or certain things that you tend to like do in the field, right? And I'm trying to like think of how to phrase this very well, because people can track it differently. Anyway, sorry. For me, it's what are the things that I know now, and did I know them before, right? There are a lot of things that when I first got into tech, or when I got into product design, I was having like information overload because I was trying to learn every single thing at once, right? Especially when you're surrounded by people who are at different levels of this field, right? And I was constantly surrounded by people who have been in it much longer than I have been, right? And in trying to like know what everybody knows, you tend to just overwhelm yourself instead of like taking it at a slow pace, right? So what I started doing was, I got this advice from one of my mentors actually. What I started doing was I would list out all the different things that I want to learn about and I would like to know that would help me become a better designer. And I just try to tick them off as I go along, right? So it helps me control my learning pace, because instead of reading multiple articles and doing multiple courses on multiple different things, it's like I'm taking it one by one, right? And then subconsciously you start to see how you apply this in your work. There are certain things that I work on now that I realized that if I were tasked to work on those things like a year ago or 2 years ago, I probably would not have done them like as well as I can do now, if at all. I also try to go back and look at my previous projects, like the previous things that I have worked on, because like it's easier for me to actually be able to track my growth like that. So maybe projects I worked on 2 years ago, I would go back. I mean, obviously I still have all the files, right? So I would go back, look at them, see how I approached them. And it's like, yeah, no, you could have done this better. Like, what were you thinking? This obviously doesn't make sense, you know, that kind of thing. And I think like that, just being able to actually like keep track of all the things you've worked on and see your progress definitely helps you, because somebody said this thing to me one day. I'm not sure how to phrase it. I'm just going to paraphrase it. Where it's like, you can't see yourself growing because, the analogy he uses, you have this mirror, right? And you're looking in the mirror every day. You're probably gaining weight or losing weight, or your features, like your facial features are changing. But because you look at yourself every day, you're not really able to actually see that growth or that difference. But then when you look at an old picture of you, you're able to see that, oh, wait, I have actually I don't look the same. Like there are changes in me, right? I think it's the same. I applied that into just like going back to look at previous work that I have done. What approach did I take to solving that particular problem? What were the design choices I made? What were the choices I made that were supposed to benefit the user? How can I learn from this like past mistake that I made, and like what are the things that I'm doing differently now? That's how I approach it. Just like comparing my previous self to my current self and seeing that there's actually been a lot of growth. And also the fact that there are certain questions that people could ask me that, again, a year ago, or even maybe a couple of months ago, I may not have been able to answer those questions. But like now, because I'm actually applying them day to day in my job, I'm able to see that, oh, Daren, you actually know this thing now, right? Like you don't even need to like go do much research, right? You can actually just give a response to this question now. Yeah, so I think just to summarize everything, it'll help to just have a way that you're tracking or looking back at things that you've done. So if you're a UX writer, you can look at previous writings you've done versus now. If you're a software engineer, you can look at the previous projects you've worked on versus now. And like I said, if you're a designer, you look at the previous projects that you worked on versus now. And also give yourself credit, because the thing that we try to do is we try to undermine our efforts and how good we are, right? Especially when we're comparing ourselves to other people. So yeah.
I think you're actually right about that growth. It's like when we were children, we were 10 years old, 11, and before we knew it, we were like 20 years old, and you'd be like, wow, when did I grow up? Why am I growing up? Like I be a child. So I guess like maybe our growth is like that. It's just that we are not seeing it ourselves, but other people are seeing it. We may not think that we are growing, but people are like, oh my God, you're doing great, you're doing amazing. But then I feel like it's more of an external and an internal validation, and it's something that we just have to be aligned on. But thank you so much for sharing, Daren, for that. Thank you so much for that. Dave, hope you have not missed us. Like, we have been talking.
Yeah. I'm also really enjoying listening to Daren as well. So yeah.
Okay. So Dave, I want to ask you this. Like, now you work as a chief of staff at Money.
Mhm.
You've had to deal with different people. What are the things that like have made people stand out to you? Like when you see somebody, what makes them stand out in terms of, I don't know, just what makes them stand out to you?
Yeah, I think standing out starts from the hiring process at Money. So for example, at Money, we try to hire I guess the smartest people that we can find around, right? And that starts from the very beginning, from the interview process.
Okay.
And so when we look at your CV, the first thing that we want to see is that you've done things, right? And then, I mean, CVs don't really tell the whole story. So we like to bring people to a first interview, and I would typically be on those interviews, right? And for me, I want to hear when I'm interviewing someone, I want to be able to hear how you've solved problems in the past, right? So of course you probably have a manager, you have colleagues that you work with, but I want to see how you've independently thought about the problems that your business is facing, or the company that you're working out is facing, and how you've been able to solve those problems, right? So we'll usually we'll ask real life questions. For example, if we're hiring for a finance role, we would give them typical scenarios and we'll ask them to answer based on those scenarios, right? Because we want to see how you problem solve and how you think on the spot. Because particularly at startups, a lot of the work that you do is work that is figuring out things, right? It might not be something that you've done before, right? But you have to do a lot of figuring out, a lot of thinking, a lot of tinkering as well on the job. So that's kind of like something that kind of sets people apart in the hiring phase. We try to hire the smartest people that we can find, and people who can problem solve and who can work independently. Because even though you might be a junior designer, you might be a junior engineer, because of how fast-paced things are, you may not really have someone that is always checking everything that you're doing. So you also need to be able to work independently and be able to do your own research and be able to figure things out on your own. Of course, you get support, right? But we want people who are like super smart, who can figure things out on their own. And so that's like before you
Okay.
get in. And then when you get in as well, something that makes people stand out is that they are doers, right? Excuse me,
Okay.
there's this thing that I always say, that done is better than perfect. So if I find someone within the company that is constantly getting things done, that person is always going to be number one on my list. Like, okay, yeah, this person is a fantastic hire, because if I say A, we need to do A, B, C, they're going to go do A, B, C within, say, like the next hour, right? So getting things done and getting them done fast, right? They don't need to be perfect, but I can see that you've done X, Y, Z, and like it's done to a good standard, and we can start to like tinker on it, and we can start to like talk about it and see what we can improve. But yeah, I think that those two things are things that make people stand out to me. Your ability to problem solve, and also which also includes thinking on the spot and thinking out of the box, because we face all kinds of challenges all day within the business, right? So you need to be able to think outside the box. How can we get a yes rather than taking a no for an answer, right? People will always tell you no a lot because maybe you're a smaller company, you're a small startup. But how do we not bend the rules, but how do we say things in such a way that we will get a yes as a response, right? So being able to problem solve on the spot. And like I said, people will get things done. I think the best people that you can hire, people who would always get things done and do them well. Yes. So for me, those are the two things that I would look for in people that I'm hiring or people that I'm working with.
Okay. Hope you guys have heard. So you need to have problem-solving skills. You need to be independent. You need to be doers. So in any job that you're doing or in any field that you are pursuing, just make sure that you have good, strong work ethics. Problem-solving, being independent, and executing. Communication also matters a lot. So that would count, right?
Of course, yeah. But I feel like sometimes you can always, improve. There's some basic skills, right? There's some basic things that you need to have within a company. I mean, if you're not typing your emails well, right, but you're getting things done, it's very easy for me to come in and say, okay, we need to improve your email etiquette, how you send emails to people, which you actually is something that we've had to do as well at Money for certain people, right? So, but I mean, it's all about how well you can execute, right? How well you can get things done.
Okay. All right. let me just ask this question. So, Debo, so far in your journey, what is like the biggest lessons you have learned so far in your journey? Something that every year.
Yeah, I think the number one lesson
Mm-hmm.
is persistence, right?
That's okay.
Never giving up. And I think Daren also alluded to that earlier as well in what she was saying, right? Just constantly, pushing through challenges. I know Daren was also speaking about imposter syndrome earlier. I feel like if you don't always, maybe not always, if you don't sometimes feel that way, you're probably not challenging yourself enough. So one way for you to know that, hey, like this is a bigger challenge for me is that you feel a little bit of imposter syndrome that, oh, am I supposed to be here? Am I stretching too high? Am I aiming too high? Right. But challenging yourself would always come with imposter syndrome. But also that's where you now start to develop the skill of pushing through those challenges and pushing through those barriers and trying to get yourself to the next level. So I would say that that's one major skill, right? Persistence. And then the second thing, which I like to say, again, is execution, getting things done, right? Because you can say, hey, I want to learn. I know many people that say, I want to learn this and I want to learn that and I want to be better at this, but they don't do anything about it, right? They just keep pushing it on and pushing it on, right? But being able to say, hey, like I want to learn maybe technical writing, right? And you go on maybe something like roadmap.sh and you look at what technical writing curriculum looks like, and you start to go through all of the courses one by one, right? That's, it's easy for people to say that they want to be something. We all wanted to be something when we were kids, but not many of us followed through on those things that we wanted to be, right? But being able to take that next step and to execute on the things that you want in your life, I think not a lot of people in the world have that do it, right? A lot of people just don't push through, right? So yeah, definitely like persistence, but also I guess maybe the first thing would be getting like actually executing, following through on the things that you say you want to do, and then just persistently continuing to push through whatever challenges or roadblocks that you face along the way.
Yes. Thank you for that. I want to throw like you said that some of us had dreams that we had when we were younger, wanting to be this and that. I wanted to be a pop star, but my parents did not allow me. So sorry about that. But I feel like at the point in time, we start learning how to take charge of our own life and deciding what we want for our own future. So thank you so much for sharing your journey. Like you said, persistent and execution. Those are things that everyone can keep on learning, and you can only get better by doing it and just keep on doing it. And over time, it adds up. So, Daren, what about you? Like two biggest lessons you have learned all through your journey so far.
For me, it would be like something that I mentioned in my previous answer about the imposter syndrome, which is there's always, always, always room to grow, right? You would never, ever know everything. There's always room to grow and improve, and you have to take your growth into your hands, right? So when I first started, I was like eager to learn. I was reading multiple articles. I had signed up for multiple courses, and I was very diligent at that. And when I got my job, all those started to like slow down because now I'm working full time and I have actual responsibilities as opposed to before where I wasn't doing anything. And it can get pretty overwhelming, but I've learned that if you don't take your own growth into your hands, like literally nobody is going to help you, right? And you have to continuously grow and improve in this space because like it's constantly evolving, right? You have to be very, 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 I mean, that's what I've learned, right? You have to be very, very, very deliberate about your growth, right? Like literally set out time to learn new things and to learn how to improve, because I mean they would obviously only help you like in your job or whatever field you're in. That I would say that's like one of the most important lessons that I have learned, because like I said, after I got my first job, literally for about a year, I wasn't reading any new articles, I wasn't doing any courses, I wasn't learning anything, because I was so focused on, oh, I have to like churn out work, like I have to do this for my job, I was working overtime, it was a lot, but then I realized that I wasn't making that much progress. I mean, you learn a lot of stuff on the job, right? But then you learn more when you're actually very intentional about your growth, right? So again, like I said earlier, you can set out things that you want to learn. There are different things to learn in your different fields, right? You can write a list. I want to learn this. I want to learn how to do this. I want to learn how to do this. And then also put it into practice, right? Because again, nobody's going to do all this for you. You only have yourself, really. So put it into practice and constantly try to like evolve like that. I think that's like the most important thing I've learned. And also, second thing would be community is extremely helpful, because I definitely will not be where I am without community, right? I have this community of friends and people who are just like in the same space, and we're constantly helping each other grow and improve, and we're like literally teaching each other stuff. I remember that like I used to have friends who, when they learn something, right, it's like something new. I'm trying to like think of an example. When they learn something new, right, we would have these conversations where we're talking through it, and he's more or less like teaching me what he's learned, but he's also like solidifying it for himself, and like vice versa. You basically having people around you who would always, you can help and would help you, and also would like speak up for you in rooms where you're not there, right? Like they would give you like send opportunities your way, they can vouch for you. Community is very important. Like I don't want to like take too long, but yeah, community is definitely very important, because I don't think anybody should ever try to do this journey alone. There's only so much you can do by yourself, but yeah, with people and with the right people, especially like emphasis on the right people, with the right people in your corner, there's a lot you can achieve. I got like my first job and my second job because I had a community out. Like I literally got those jobs from referrals from my community, right? And there are people who I've also referred to like jobs, and they're like doing absolutely great. So I think like the second thing that I would always tell everyone and anyone is to find a community. And this is not necessarily limited to like, oh, join a WhatsApp group or anything. Just like find people around you who can help you grow and who you can help grow as well, and like grow together.
Thank you so much, David. I felt as if you poured out your heart to us. So from what Daren has said, I hope you guys have learned a lot. Number one, learning never stops. You have to take charge of your own journey, your own tech life, your own everything. Your journey is in your own hand. And the last part is basically finding a community. I resonate with this very well because I see tech like 3 pillars. There are 3 pillars to me to succeed in. Like for me, there are 3 pillars that you need to have for you to succeed in tech. You need to, number one, you have to find the right communities to join. So you have to like in your niche, whatever niche you are in, you need to find people in that niche that you can learn from, that you guys can talk with. So community is very important in whatever role you want to do. Secondly, people. You need people to succeed in this, your journey. You need people who have gone ahead of you, people that you are learning with. You just need people. And the third one is events. You need to like be where things are happening. What's going on in your space? Where can you meet more people like that? And I feel like when you have those 3 things, it will really help you a lot in scaling your journey. So thank you so much, Daren, for sharing. So because of time, we'll just have to move on to the questions from our audience. And Debo, I feel like you're more suited to answer this question. Someone asked that, is it possible for someone with 0 level knowledge of computing to succeed in a technical journey? When I say 0 knowledge, I mean like I'm not even competent. Like person doesn't have any knowledge about, like, let's just say coding or anything. So is it possible?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, of course. It's going to be harder for sure. It's definitely something that is doable, right? And I mean, I would always recommend roadmap.sh. It's just a fantastic resource. So for example, if you wanted to become a software engineer, right, they would pretty much give it to you from the very, very basics, like what is a computer? What is the internet? What is the World Wide Web? How do computers talk to each other, right? So you would learn computing from the foundational level, like from the basics. So yeah, definitely like very possible for you to succeed. But you also have to give yourself grace and give yourself time as well. But 100%, it's doable and you can do it.
Okay, thank you for that. I hope that you got that. Another question for you would be, someone asked, how can you describe how to balance theory with real world application in learning tech? Probably, and person gave a scenario. When you're presented with a coding or technical obstacle, how do you approach problem solving? That was a scenario.
Is that question the same? If it sounds different.
No, it's the same, but like it's just like now we talked about like, oh, you like now people want to go into technical interviews. When you are reading about it, it's all theoretical, but applying it is different. So how do you approach that? And how do you balance it?
Okay, So I'm assuming that this is a technical person and they're maybe asking about maybe data structures and algorithms and how do you balance that in your day-to-day work. I'm assuming that that's what they're asking. Now there are platforms that allow you to apply some of these I guess like software patterns, right? Or engineering patterns, right? So there's HackerRank, right? So HackerRank actually gives you, so Leet Code would give you very specific questions, right? But HackerRank actually paints a scenario for you, and then they ask you to solve the challenge, right? So I'm assuming that this person is like super technical, so I'm answering it in this way, right? So if you wanted to basically apply some of the theories that you've learned, you can actually go on HackerRank and solve any kind of problems, right? But if you wanted to learn the way these algorithms work, you can then use something like LeetCode to learn how they work. But in terms of application, I think HackerRank kind of gives you the questions to help you apply some of these patterns that you've learned.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I hope that the person that asked the question got the answer. Daren, this question is for you. So Joseph is interested in graphic design, but he does not know where to start. Any advice on where he should start?
For graphic design, I mean, I would say you have to learn the fundamentals of design. I think like that's the best place to start. I mean, I'll be the first person to ask because I mean, I don't do graphic design, but then I mean, like every design field, you have to learn the fundamentals of design. So I would say that he should go research on what the fundamentals of design are and then build up from there, because I think like that's obviously like the base point to start from. So yeah, fundamentals of design and learn about how design works together, how different components and elements make design. And I think like from there, every other thing would flow in like what to research on and what to learn.
Okay. Is there like a course or platform that you could recommend?
Personally, no. I mean, I know that there are courses on Udemy, but then I can't say what the best courses to do are, because I mean I don't do graphic design, but yeah. So I think Debola wanted to say something.
Yeah, sorry, Daren, I just wanted to jump in on that as well. It can be, there are so many courses and there are so many paths that you can take, right? So you can just find yourself going down a dark hole and never come out, right? So in addition to what Daren said, of course, you need to learn the fundamentals, but what I would recommend is that find a designer that you like their work. At Money, I think we have probably two of the best designers in Nigeria, right? So find their LinkedIn, DM them, and be like, hey, I want to get into graphic design. I'm sure they would answer you and they will tell you like, hey, go learn this and go learn that. It's always good to kind of piggyback off people who have done it before, right? Because they know exactly what not to do. And it shortens your own learning journey as well. So I think that's always like a good place to start from. Of course, take courses, but you need to also know what courses will benefit you the most as well. So always piggyback off people who have done it before.
Okay, so probably find a mentor or someone that does it already, ask them for resources, and then use their resources to structure your own path.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say, maybe don't ask them to be your mentor because they'll be like, oh, no, I don't have But just say, hey, like, I'm trying to get into this field. They'll be able to point you to the right resources to use. But sometimes when people, like, if anybody asks me to come and be their mentor, I'm going to be like, I have zero time. I'm too busy, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So you guys, does not mean that everyone should be your mentor. I think like the word mentor has been abused. Basically, what a mentor could just be someone that you read their articles or you follow what they are doing online. They don't have to be talking to you all the time. So you could message anybody now, just ask them for resources or how they can help you to scale. That is it. It doesn't have to be, sir, I don't know what to do. If you don't know what to do, then why are you in their DM? You have to know what you want from somebody and then approach them with, I want to do this and do this. I need guidance with this. So with that, they have something to help you with. So with that, guys, we have come to the end of today's session. But before we let our speakers go, we want to play a little game. So let me start with Daren. Daren, so if you had to choose one thing to eat for the rest of your life, what will it be? One thing for the rest of your life.
Rice and stew, maybe.
For the rest of your life.
Probably, yeah, I guess.
Rice and stew are two things.
It's one meal. It's one meal. Yeah, so I'll probably say rice and stew because I think like that's the least likely thing that I'll get tired of. I mean, I have other favorite foods, but I'm pretty sure that if I were eating that every day, I would definitely get tired of them. But rice and stew is just really safe.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Debo, what about you? What's the
Um,
rice and
I'll say plantains. I just have so much love for plantain. I know you can come and say, but you are going to fry it with oil. It's not LD, it's not this, it's not that. I'm going to be like, that's your business, bro. But yeah, definitely plantains.
All right, thank you so much for that. So, Daren, thank you so much. Debo, thank you so much for taking out your time. Guys, I hope you learned a lot from today's session. Please go and watch the video again and also follow us on Twitter at 3MTT Nigeria. Demi, the stage is yours. Thank you so much, guys. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Blessing. You've done an amazing job moderating this session. Aderisola and Adebola, thank you so much for offering your own first-hand insights in terms of finding your feet in tech. I'm sure our viewers have appreciated everything you've shared today with us. Today, I can confirm that we had a total of over 20,000 views on our live stream. This live stream will still be left for more people to still view after it's been posted. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. And yes, Aderisola and Debo as well, would you have any preference in terms of our viewers where they can reach you on afterwards? Like, would you prefer Twitter or LinkedIn or any social media platform where our viewers can reach out to you if they have any further questions regarding tech and finding their feet?
Yeah, for me, I'd say Twitter. They can reach out to me on Twitter.
Amazing.
Yeah, for me, LinkedIn, so that you will not just be in my DMs and I will not respond to you because Twitter is just yeah.
Amazing. Thank you
Just
so
can
much.
you give your social media handle? Sorry, Demi. Like your Twitter, Daren, your Twitter, and then Debo, your LinkedIn name that people can reach out to you.
Okay, I guess we can just say it, right? Can't put it on the chat. Yeah, so if you look for me on LinkedIn, Adebola Adeniran, you would find me on LinkedIn.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
For my Twitter, Aderisola_O. That's my Twitter handle.
Thank you.
Yeah, but if you wanted to follow me on Twitter as well, it's at Adebola, and you would have me on Twitter.
Amazing. Thank you everyone so much for your time. And yes, catch you guys next time. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Blessing, amazing.